Chapter 10. Exterior, main road, night. Brontay sits atop Vasily's shoulders, eating an apple and clutching a blanket around her neck. Vasily looks irritated by her relentless chomping, but marches on. Would it bother him too much if she choked on it? Exterior, Battersea Power Station, night. Kaleidoscopic hard light bounces between this mini Las Vegas in the middle of the abject ruins. Vasily stops next to a grand set of Victorian gates that used to welcome workers to the powerhouse of South London. He allows Brontay to dismount.
Battersea, the world centre of woke culture. Why don't we drop by and see some friends of mine?
Is this part of the plan? Or can't you tell me?
It's time for a rest. We both need it. Before all the stuff I can't tell you happens.
Blissful.
She looks around at the deep purple wrecks and ruins behind her and shivers.
Don't worry. This is one of the few places we are safe.
Really?
Brontay looks to the east and sees the red star atop the tower of Canary Wharf.
Oh, and welcome home.
Exterior, Vock Row, night. The walls to each building fade from translucent to solid, with the residents of each townhouse making no effort to hide their debauchery. Interior, Vock House, night.
Faster, blaster, master, procrasta.
Drunk and bawdy, Muller sips a Bellini and cuddles into his sycophants.
Oh, me next, Valentina.
I simply can't wait to taint your fabulous Gouda, Sebastian.
Then he notices the odd couple outside, through the material of the building.
Curly Schlangenstrudel. Observe, Valentina. 'Tis the long-absent fellow Albertini with some odd peasant troll. Let us wave to him and his new indentured pet.
Exterior, Vock Row, night. Brontay can't help herself but watch. Vasily grunts and casually waves back.
My noisy neighbours, Sebastian and Valentina. Stay away from their parties.
He hurries Brontay along to a much plainer townhouse. It is deathly quiet.
As covers go, it's a doozy. Home.
Brontay nods, struggling to take it in.
Yours?
Vasily puts out an old mortise key and opens the door. Light strafes out, like he's just opened the gates of heaven. He looks around himself and guides her in, shutting the door firmly. Interior, Palace Party Chamber, night. Within a huge, throbbing ballroom, a tray of champagne and canapés is offered by an immaculate waiter as Vasily negotiates a buzzing throng of revellers. Brontay can't resist taking as many glasses and as much food as she can handle.
This is how I stay hidden in plain sight.
Brontay spots a huge poster animation above the fireplace of Vasily with the autograph Mac Albertini glimmering in a gold ident beneath, somewhere between Ziggy Stardust and Casanova. The 30-feet-tall figure extends a giant hand which reduces to a regular size and high-fives Vasily as they pass.
You're the king of Vogue.
Vasily takes her through to a small dome, which opens up as they approach.
Just keeping up appearances.
He snaps his fingers and everyone, bar themselves, vanishes. A beat of quiet before he snaps them again, and the party reappears as before.
Not difficult with a few resources.
Interior, dome, night. An ornate bedchamber with a four-poster and an ensuite bathroom.
Get some sleep.
Brontay doesn't need a second invitation. She crawls onto the bed.
I'll be right outside. You're safe.
So you keep saying.
She's asleep as soon as her head hits the pillow. Vasily watches her and takes a deep breath. He rubs his eyes and yawns.
Albertini, you have some accredited visitors.
Vasily glances over his shoulder and the wall dissolves away to reveal Scanlan and Featherblade entering the ballroom.
No rest for the damned.
Interior, World's End Cafe, night. Fazal sits on a tall stool, thumbing the Catcher in the Rye for probably the millionth time. Antonia, now looking around 17, places down on the bar 2 shot glasses with gold liquid. She is morose and expressionless.
Be careful what you wish for.
Antonia necks the shot and slams the glass on the bar. Fazal watches her walk away, hips swinging.
Too much for me to handle now.
He opts to sip his coffee and pushes the shot to one side, returning to his book.
Why so glum? You miserable old hack.
Fazal swings round as if stung by a wasp. He looks about the cafe. Antonia is nowhere to be seen and he is seemingly alone.
Fuck off. No.
The voice is gravelly but unmistakable.
You want a story or not? They sacked you, didn't they? Constructive dismissal.
Fazal pitches and rolls off his stool, a little drunk. The voice comes from the booth behind him. He steps down the aisle to find an impossibly wizened old man sitting in the booth, more like a living corpse. Only his outrageous couture and bright, new, young eyes give him away, as if all his major organs are failing to exhaustion in order to keep his perfect vision. Hardyman taps the table and nods back towards the bar.
Waste not.
Fazal grabs the shot and gives it to the old man. He necks it and coughs.
Another.
Fazal shakes his head. What fresh hell is this?
Ah, come on.
Hardyman lights up a cigarette. He coughs again, more like a death rattle this time.
I've got great plans for you.
That's what you told me before you threw me in here.
Hardyman smiles proudly. Fazal looks back to see Antonia wiping down the bar.
Is this your doing again?
Yes. Don't even think about complaining. This is what you love. This is all you love.
Not now.
Antonia whips the tea towel on the bar and walks out back.
Eat shit. You owe me. Again.
Fazal shouts after her.
I told you, more supplies next week.
Her door slams.
Damn, baby.
Hardyman laughs and croaks.
And I thought I'd gone low rent.
Fazal turns back to his unwelcome companion.
Finally fallen afoul of the big man, then.
Hardyman taps his glass.
Finally.
A beat. Fazal grunts and jumps up, scaling the bar and grabbing a bottle of nasty old tequila. He pours another shot for Hardyman, who guzzles it down and grabs the bottle. Fazal watches him pull the optic off the top and take a direct swig.
Well,
what?
I've got appointments, Hardy. I haven't got time for this. No sob stories. Give me something real or you can fuck right off out of here. I don't care if they boil you down for glue.
Sorry. For what it's worth, you wouldn't have heard me say that a few weeks ago. Life has changed.
I've learned to take the past with a pinch of salt lately.
Hardyman takes a long pull on his cigarette and frowns. He grabs a front tooth and yanks it out, spattering the table with crimson. Fazal grimaces.
I heard about Susan. And that's all to do with why I'm here.
I don't have much time. If you have something to say, get on with it. If you're wasting my time, I'll have Antonia's boys feed you to her chihuahuas in bite-sized pieces.
Okay, tough guy. I give in. Like Antonio gives a dog's ass about you, Faz, dealing in cheap nano-serums. She's about ready to have your balls on a stick if you want an objective opinion.
No, I don't want an objective opinion. Spill or go.
Hardyman nods and lights another cigarette off his current one.
This is juicy. Most juicy.
Fazal frowns and leans in.
But get me some food first.
Fazal grinds his temple with his fingers.
Go on. What have you got to lose? Food.
Interior, bedchamber, sunrise. Somewhere across town, Alexandra Brontay lies sleeping where Vasily left her. Shards of lemon and orange sunlight strafe out from behind the curtains. Maria watches her slumber, clad in coveralls, hobnailed boots tapping against the thick pile carpet.
Was werde ich nun mit dir machen?
Another Brontay walks behind her, done up like a tragic Georgian heroine. She places a hand on Maria's shoulder and Maria clutches it. Kutz grins as she approaches them from behind.
We created monsters to save the world.
Du bist nicht daran interessiert, irgendjemanden zu retten, außer dich selbst.
You're not interested in saving the world.
Kutz holds a dagger. Her eyes become a deep crimson and her teeth sharpen to fangs. Maria, without even turning, pulls a blade and runs Kutz through the heart. Kutz staggers backwards.
After all I've done for you people.
Fahr zur Hölle.
Go to hell.
Kutz staggers and falls. The version of Brontay in the bed bolts upright, suddenly awake. Kutz, Maria and the other Brontay have developed snake heads. They grin and approach the bed. The wound in Kutz's chest swallows up the blade and heals. Brontay shakes as a forked tongue slaps against her cheek.
One day soon you'll have to choose between us and Diablo. No backing out, no return to your delirious lobotomy of a job.
Brontay shakes her head.
Why me?
Why not?
Long fangs develop out of the mouths of all three companions. Brontay screams as they feed on her. Interior, dome, night. The serpentine trio have vanished, replaced by Vasily. Brontay pants.
You were supposed to get some rest.
Impossible.
Sasha.
One day soon I'll have you choose between them and Diablo. What does that mean?
Vasily's forehead creases, as if that wasn't what he had expected to hear.
The closer you get to home, the worse this becomes, eh?
Answer me!
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
They were right.
Brontay waits for him to elaborate. He doesn't.
I don't know what you want me to do. All I know is that I can never go back. Not to my old life, not even to Anna and Misha.
Vasily nods. He lights a cheroot.
I've got some things to show you. You choose to believe them or not, but you will save a lot of time if you just trust me.
I don't even trust myself.
Vasily snaps his fingers. Interior apartment, day. The place has the same basic layout as Brontay's own place. Brontay finds herself on her feet, standing next to Vasily. Mummy Bear plumps the pillows on the bed while Daddy Bear finishes fixing a shelf.
Illusions, superego, placebos, emotional anesthetics. I hate your world. I want to end it.
The front door opens and shuts. Mummy Bear looks at her husband with excitement, and they head out to greet the resident of the flat as she pads into the living area, exhausted. She is 50 and plain, wearing a standard business suit.
Oh, look at her, Daddy. She's all tired and ready for beddy buys.
Your turn to read her a story, love.
I know this woman. She works in my place. Middle management.
Vasily nods. The woman walks through Brontay as if she is a ghost. She grabs a bottle of red wine and pours.
The booze is bad for you, dear. How many times do we need to say?
Listen to your mother.
The woman waves at thin air in irritation and they vanish. Then she bounces down on her sofa, swigging down the vino.
Where exactly is this going, Vasily?
Ectogenesis. Asexual human reproduction.
What?
Can you remember your childhood?
Of course I can.
Vasily snaps his fingers. Interior, huge enclosure. Endless rows of tanks filled with semi-transparent red goo chase away across a field of technology, tubes pumping and displays regulating each unit. Vasily and Brontay stand over a tank. Brontay raises an eyebrow and wipes the condensation off the clear surface. A pair of tiny fetuses attached to a placenta, cosy in utero, amniotic fluid changing from blue to deep red and back again, charged particles blinking in and out of existence like popping candy. She takes a step back, as if winded.
Illusions, placebos, emotional anesthetics. Shitty fucking lies.
Brontay looks around herself and pulls her dressing gown around her, suddenly aware of the cold.
No.
Believe, don't believe, but you weren't born.
I'm cold. It's cold here.
You weren't born.
Fuck off.
Do you remember your childhood, Anglichanka?
Fuck off.
Vasily places a hand on her shoulder. She brushes away from him. He snaps his fingers. Interior, apartment, day. The woman drains her glass and flicks through hyperreal channels. She stops at a cathedral as a grand organ plays. Closing her eyes, she begins to pray. Vasily and Brontay watch.
Opium of the masses. I think I preferred it.
The front door opens and two masked figures in jumpsuits stride in, one of them clutching a collapsed disc. This gets Brontay's attention, but Vasily motions her to regard the resident, who lies prone on the sofa, stone dead.
Myocardial infarction on her 50th birthday. This is where you were headed, Sasha. Where everyone outside the elite is headed.
The figures pop open the disc, which expands to the size of a large barrel. Brontay watches them pick the corpse up off the sofa and stuff her into the container. A chemical hiss.
Pretty much what Katia Kutz and Christian Driscoll got so pissed over. For all their faults, I can't disagree on this.
Brontay can't stop watching the woman dissolving, reducing to liquid in the barrel.
We're not a society. We're not even a species. We are as dead as this lady if we let him continue.
Let who continue?
The woman has completely turned to liquid. The figures approach the kitchen area and empty her down the sink before collapsing the barrel back down to a disc.
See ya, boys.
They march out, shutting the door behind them. A beat. Brontay glares at Vasily. The front door opens and in walks a fresh-faced young woman of 21, clutching a plant. She is delighted with her surroundings.
Wow. State of the art. Uber.
Mummy Bear and Daddy Bear appear to greet the new resident.
You must be hungry, Petal.
I'm starving myself. Let's treat ourselves to a takeout tonight, eh?
The young woman beams at them. Vasily snaps his fingers. Interior, palace party chamber, sunrise. The room is deserted, apart from Featherblade and Scanlan playing chess.
He was gone an age, bro.
Vasily smiles. Brontay grabs his arm and looks into his eyes.
This is never going to stop, is it?
He shakes his head.
You brought me here to show me.
He nods.
And I have no choice.
I was afraid you'd ask me that.
Well?
Yes. Yes, you have a choice. We're not them.
Who? No more riddles.
The Doctors' Congress, they're just as fucking bad. Just as elitist for all their revolutionary manifestos.
And what about you?
Brontay nods at Scanlan and Featherblade.
Him? Her?
Us? We just want to end this shit and go home.
Brontay takes a long breath.
I mean it. You want to walk? Fine. But I had to show you first.
You're full of shit. You'd never let me leave.
Visariras is for real. Female Englisher. 23rd century style. This is a war.
I vouch. Rare and proud and proper and stuff. This is a war, friend.
You just want to make me feel like I've got a choice.
And what's wrong with that? This is a war.
Yeah, I gathered.
He offers his hand. Brontay is aware that the other two are watching her, and it might as well be the whole world. She takes his huge hand and grips it.
What do you want me to do?
Interior, World's End Cafe, night. Fazal taps his pencil against a yellowing pad as Hardiman shovels pea soup into his mouth. He studies the old man with a mixture of curiosity, hatred, and disgust. He grips his pencil harder. Hardiman picks up the bowl and slurps it down.
Yum, yum.
He licks it, then goes for one of Fazal's cigarettes. Fazal snaps his hand over the packet.
Gee.
He eyes the wreck of Hardiman up and down. The question answers itself. Hardiman cackles and wheezes.
Stop it, please. Laughing hurts me, you stupid little prick. Look, you can do what you like, Basil.
It's Fazal.
You can ignore me, but what I told someone is enough, and you are as good as anyone in the world of shit choices. One day, you'll understand. There's no going back for me. I've nothing to gain, apart from helping to bring that monster down.
High praise indeed coming from another legendary monster.
Suck it up and let it go, windbag. Bigger fish to fry.
Fazal's smile cracks his stony countenance. He nods.
Yeah, well, what else have I got to do?
Antonia has been watching by the bar all along.
You can stay alive.
Does that really matter in this prison camp, babe?
You've got me.
Fazal smiles back at her. Hardiman makes an obscene sex gesture with his fingers.
I know I have.
She sneers and whips the bar with her tea towel, disappearing into the back.
The sacrifices we make.
Shut the fuck up.
Me like either pretend tough.
Do we need to meet again?
The only time you'll see me is on the network. When you've put me in your story, right? I want a good billing. No second card shit.
Right.
Hardiman grunts. He knows that's not going to happen, but it's not important anymore.
Go. He's expecting you.
Fazal pulls himself up and approaches the bar.
Look, honey, I have to pop out for an hour or two. Can you take care of Mr. Hardiman for me?
So, mama.
Fazal leaves. A beat, followed by a thump and a rattle of crockery. Another beat. Antonia sachets out from the back, shaking her head, fuming.
You're going to have to go, mister. This isn't a halfway house.
She approaches the booth to find Hardiman face down in his bowl, stone dead. Antonia is unfazed.
Angelo, got some trash to take out. Better wear some gloves.
Exterior, favelas, night. Fazal wraps his Macintosh tighter around his body against the cold air. He approaches Hyde Park Corner, wary of the deathly quiet around him, which isn't helped by a dense fog rolling in from across the blasted heath and ruins of Oxford Circus. He approaches some iron gates, and a pair of squadjutants block his path, scanning his iris.
Evening, officers.
They wave him through, and he heads towards the chipped and battered remains of Marble Arch. A long black vintage Cadillac limousine waits beneath the pillars, engine running. Interior, limo, night. The door swings open and Fazal climbs into the back cabin to find deconstructed man waiting for him. Not exactly who he was expecting.
Hey, Scoop, it's a bit late to change your mind.
Fazal remains hunched. He tries the door. It opens.
Really, dude?
Fazal shuts the door and sits next to the American.
How do you like my new self-driver? Dinky retro, ain't it just?
Your friend said you had a lead for me regarding international activities.
Kinda looks like the last bit of meatloaf what went off now, doesn't he? All my fault. Well, all his own fault.
Fazal clasps his hands together. He thinks about trying the door again.
You may have some questions about this whole affair. In good time, we can arrange a return to peak network viewing. Although I would appreciate your cooperation in keeping quiet about the dummy Faisal that we were running for the past few years.
You seem to know a hell of a lot about the media for a policeman.
You're weary, Faisal.
It's Fazal.
I empathize, yes. But if I'd wanted to take you downtown, I would have gone up to see you myself and put your lights out. Think it through, old son.
Why blow out such a cushy number then?
Because I ain't as dumb as the big man thinks.
He taps his temple.
I've had enhancements.
Fazal nods and squirms in his seat.
Asshole thinks he's watching me right now. But I'm too cute. Just his computer watching my computer. Neat trick.
That's gratifying to know.
Here's the play. You get full editorial control of the entire news network. The whole show. And I ain't just talking about this story. Prove to us that you're as good a newsman as you say you are, and you get our full backing. No interference. Tell it the way you want to tell it.
Why are you doing this?
Because my days were numbered the moment I pulled the trigger on the big man, Faz. I'm smart enough to know that I'm a passing phase. At this stage in my career, I need more permanence. It's too dangerous to leave while that honcho lives.
You murdered Susan Pollard. She was my friend.
Aw, and that stings. But it wasn't personal. And you ain't in a position to go looking for payback either, Mr. Shitstink.
Fazal lights a cigarette. Deconstructed man nods at his pack and takes one without invitation.
I do like a man who likes a smoke.
You'll die a horrible death.
That cocksucker in Hampstead needs to be taken from the inside if this revolution is going to work. Up his ass. I want you to make the introductions.
Fazal flicks ash on his floor.
I know about the plans for Alexandra Brontay. That dumbass shit is gonna fail big time without me.
Fazal squirms.
Yeah, baby.
No, baby.
Make the intro.
No.
You want back in the game, Scoop? These assholes abandoned you after Susan died. I'm your ticket back to the greatest story never told.
Fazal shakes his head, but he knows the American is right.
Well, alrighty then.
The future is. Hail Vogue. Hail Vanity. Hail you. More episodes soon. Subscribe.